Oh my. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Itai, and such a pleasure to be here. I'm streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to the entire world. And if you join us today, this is the Good Morning Education Show. If this is your first time, please do let us know, because I have the bell of blessing to share with you and to give to you. And it's always a great morning, like we say in the beginning and at the end of the show. It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. So fantastic to be here with you. And of course, we're going to be having a special conversation today. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. I have my analyst here. Thank you for joining, analyst. I have Fee Fully. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good morning to all our viewers. Good morning, world. Good morning, internet.
Yes, and we have the ever-present, delightful, exciting Grace Amoka from the city of Kaduna. Grace, good morning.
Good morning, internet first, because yesterday the internet wasn't good to me, so I have to greet them first. And then good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Hi, Fing. So good to see you again. And good morning, our viewers and listeners. It's so good to be here.
The government told the internet that they saw always accusing us. All right. So today we're going to be having an interesting topic, and I'm sure everyone out there will be excited to know what we're discussing today. Today we're talking about the face of faith. The face of faith. And I believe it's going to be something useful. And we don't intend to break tables today, but if there's anything that needs to be broken, it shall be broken. Can I hear an amen?
Amen.
Fantastic. All right. So without wasting much time, we're going to start with news. But before we just have that, do you have any news or any information or any announcement you'd like to share with everyone? I'd like to start with that. Starting with Grace.
There's no news from my end. We got our package of Niger Kids Money Week financial worksheets. I was so excited yesterday. The kids will be so excited.
Fantastic. So a big thank you to Niger Kids for the beautiful thing that they're doing, making impact everywhere they go. And that's such a good one. Okay. How about Fee? Anything, any upcoming event, any announcement to make?
No,
any
no
surprise up your sleeve?
Yeah, of course, if it's a surprise, we wait till the unveiling of the surprise.
I know, there's the down payment of surprise, now.
Yeah, okay, so the down payment.
I know that Grace is cooking up. Grace, I know she's cooking up a surprise, but she thinks I don't know. But me, I know.
Who pay down payments? I'm just hearing that for the first time, so. Hello?
Okay, I thought I was the one out.
No, I think Mr. Rotimi's network is a bit.
And we have said good morning to the internet this morning.
Yesterday they dealt with me. Like, I was consistently thrown out. I think the only thing I said was good morning, our viewers. And then I would log back in and it would throw me out. I would log at some point. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go and rest and apologize to them for whatever I did. Today should be better. So here we are.
Yeah. I was mostly out yesterday too. I was mostly out. Just fluctuating. We hope that one day we're going to get that system right too, because I believe there's nothing that says we should not have seamless connectivity. It's not.
Funny enough, as you said, seamless connectivity. In my head, I'm like, this doubt, like, okay, let's wait for that day to come. Yeah, but it's possible to have it. It sounds like such a far-reaching thing, but I don't think it should be such a big deal. And we just keep hoping. that things get better really.
Okay, so we really have to wait for Mr. Rotimi to get back. Do you have the headlines, Grace?
Of the news, no, I don't. The only headline of my own news that I have is that JAM registration is on, and I'm so excited about it. I'm not really sure why, but so registration has started, and dates have been fixed, which is a good thing, for the guys that are preparing for JAM. Because every time they're like, "Oh, we don't know," and I think it's good for them to have, when you have a date for an exam, it makes all the difference. At least for me,
You're
so
able to
you're
get
able to plan.
prepared.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
to put things in
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a good
So yes,
one.
that's the only.
At least for the first time in maybe 2 weeks, that's something cheering and something cool from coming from JAM.
I know, right? We hope for better news in the days ahead.
Yes, yes. We hope that comes our way. Okay, Mr. Rotimi is trying to reconnect.
The internet really needs to be begged today, though. And these
We
topics that he brings, like they're so interesting that sometimes I'm like, can you just break it down for the mortal man? Because I don't really get
for the mortal man, yeah.
it.
Okay, so we have a headline there. Traditional
Okay.
journalism won't die, will always remain relevant. Well, I don't think anybody expects traditional journalism to die. I don't think anybody expects it to fizzle out. We only expect it to get better. We only expect it to be much more than it is right now. We expect to see better reporting. We expect to see better picture qualities, better cameras. We expect to hear better elocution. Growing up, the news, TV, radio was one of the things that were used to teach us pronunciation. But these days, you really cannot do that with a child. Ask a child to watch the news, they may just be learning the wrong things. One of the things that really riles me about traditional media these days is traditional journalism these days is the way they do not even they don't take the effort to learn to pronounce names. So yes, I have a name that I'm not familiar with, and you don't even go try to find out what it is before you go on air. And then we have modeling of names, modeling of places. Those things should get better. We don't hope to see it die. We just hope to see it get better.
Yeah. Like you said, I think the people that feel threatened by ICT are people that are not ready for change, really, because it's here to make things better. And I feel everyone should just focus on how can we do this better. It shouldn't be different for any field, traditional or not. Even herbalists, they're upgrading their game with the advent of ICT. So I feel like everybody should just get on the moving train because it's not going to stop for you. Yeah. So like you said, what are the ways they could improve on? And yeah, basically. Mr. Ritmi, welcome back. Oh, he's
Yes,
frozen.
thank you.
Oh,
Your people
okay.
are following me. Your people are following me from Kaduna.
I told you to bless the gods of the internet this morning.
Okay, so we have Eco Excel is a game changer in primary education. Governor Sanwo-Olu makes a comment. I'm sure you're familiar with the Eco Excel program. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, so well, Excel is a game changer. We expect that from the governor. Of course, it's it's their program. Nobody is going to come out and say what I'm doing is not good, is not great. We expect that, but then we would like to actually see the score sheet, the scorecard, hear from people who are beneficiaries, and see the actual impact. And then we can draw a conclusion different from that of the initiator and the owner of the program.
KK, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. Hi, Grace. Hi, Fee. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to keep my comment till later, KK.
Comment your results.
You are getting set for my comment, but I will shock you much later. So you are not going to be ready for my comment. All right. We have EcoExcel. We talked about EcoExcel. Now we're talking about tertiary institution students storm Oyo Secretariat lament poor state of education. Any comments on that? Anyone? You should comment on that. That's your local constituency.
I think I really should just leave this alone and let someone else comment on that.
KK, what's your take on this? Tertiary institution storm Oyo State.
It's just really sad because we just need to do something, right? I mean, that's where we're churning out a lot of potential entrance into the labor market, into the entrepreneurship sector, you know, and it's deplorable, right? And it's not just it's not just the infrastructure, yeah. It's everything about it. So something actually does need to be done. It's bad. Trying to hire somebody, I keep saying this because maybe because I'm an employer, trying to hire somebody is hard. It's like pulling teeth these days. And then even trying to get somebody to do work for you. So trying to get anybody, maybe like a technician, anybody, it's really, it's tough, right? And so in my head, I'm like, what is more important than educating your youth? There really shouldn't be anything that is more important than that. But that nothing is being done. It's almost like it's a chore to educate the youth. That's a problem, and it's a huge problem. And I'm happy that, I'm not happy that they stormed the capital, but I'm happy that the students are even interested enough. They're not just saying, you know what, doesn't matter, I will do what I will do. No, but they're actually interested enough to say, no, we need something to be done about this, and something does need to be done about it. It's and then somebody would say, look, I'm reading it now and it's saying there's no reason for the strike. Are you joking? There is a reason for the strike, and that's what we talked about yesterday. Was it not yesterday? Corruption, right? Sometimes it's even our words that are corrupt. It's our thought processes that are corrupted, and we are not doing anything about it. Instead, we're hiding behind fancy words and nice interviews. We need to just do something. So yeah, I much as I will not riot and I will not condone a riot, but the reason for the riot, I think, is long overdue to be on the table for discussion.
Welcome, Titi. Good morning. Titi, do you have any comment on the news?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Grace, Fee, my cousin KK, and Rotimi. No, I will just I'll be passed today.
Rotimi, are you there?
Okay, we have, yes, 2021 UTME. JAMB begins registration, gives date for exam. That's definitely going to be Grace responding to that. Grace and JAMB, they are affiliates.
So when the network threw you off, we actually talked about that already, you know, so we're like, oh, it's good, finally. students can plan better and set, milestones in preparation for their exams. So yeah, we've been ready for them. Welcome to the party, Jam.
Titi has not said anything. Titi, where are you?
I'm here, but when others have spoken, it's fine. There's nothing to add. We are all passionate women here.
There's always a spice from the Niger Kids corner.
Anyway, the news. Two things that caught my eye. I like the thing about this Green Spring students that sponsored an orphan, and the person finished with first class. For me, what is commendable is from an early age, we need to teach our children about charitable giving. Throughout their lives, they must always plan on giving to others. One, it breaks selfishness and self-entitlement spirit, but it also just shows what the world is about, helping one another. So I think it's commendable. I'm always for promoting charitable giving in school, no matter how small. It's something that should be ingrained in a child from an early age, irrespective of religion. So I think that's really very commendable. I really liked that, helping out. It must be something that is, a key part of our school system, that giving back, that helping others, no matter what our conditions are. We must always make space for giving back to the other people. And I think the other thing I also liked was the news on the Unity School, USOSA. Since I'm a member of the Unity School, they create an e-learning platform, and they are seeking federal government's collaboration. My two passion is the fact that we must use technology to provide quality education, and we need more and more corporates to come into corporate and private sector to come into education just to help. So this for me ticks those two boxes. So it's a wonderful thing. So they developed an e-learning solution that can be used by the 104 Unity schools. Of course, it's whether the Unity schools have technology to technology to be able to use them. But you know what? For me, it's a step in the right direction. So well done to them. Well done to all the members that contributed to this. And then I hope it gets used and used well.
Okay. We have good news as 2 Nigerian Americans are elected to the U.S. National Academy of Engineering. Comment on that?
You know why this kind of comments annoy me, Rotimi? I'm sorry, it's great. But you know why it annoys me?
Tell me.
What are we doing at home? What are we doing at home? Right? What are we doing in our homes? We're celebrating people that are great outside. They're draining all our people because we do not have the systems to keep them locked in here. And then we'll be celebrating and we'll be saying, oh, great, wow, they're now in the US. Really? What's happening with our own? Why don't we have our own? Why are we not doing anything about our own? So yes, it's great that they're making progress out there. But what's happening with our own structures? What's happening with our Navy? Why are we not hearing all these things? Why are people not celebrating it? And it's just annoying. Sorry, that's my comment. Sorry. I'm happy, but that's my comment.
I think it's good for us to actually share your emotions, because and you might be shocked, it's not really the government that is actually celebrating these people. Sometimes these things make the route because of what we call surprise and what we call great. So sometimes it might be themselves publishing, it might be well-wishers, it might be friends and families. I think the state of neglect, or the state of how do I use that word? It's not just neglect, it's almost like but anyway, what I see is that we we have people who do not take certain things as feedback. As good as some things could be, just like Keke was saying, it should trigger questions. We should have feedback. Why is it that we have more news of people being celebrated outside than inside? Is it that people inside are not doing stuff? I think people inside are doing stuff, but if we don't reward showcase, appreciate the people inside. It might not be an encouraging thing for the industries, because what happens is people just feel that growth does not really exist in their climb. So I think that it's high time that we don't even wait for government. We ourselves should try to start celebrating things within here, and that way it will position people to take us seriously, especially within the education sector. I think that might be a good way to go. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts to share on that. Okay, let's move to the next news. Unilag students apprehended for overnight reading. Unilag, why was it when we mentioned that a student was apprehended, Eben decided to turn on his video?
I've been looking at it, and
Or
and I've
Eben,
been
are you
waiting
the
for this.
Unilag student that was apprehended?
No, actually, but I have a lot of students that even one of them is having an exam in my house this morning, one of the GST, and a lot is actually, the guy has been passing through a lot, like the issue of question and answer where yesterday he said he wrote a test, and the lecturer detected the test title or the topic for 15 minutes, and he said the minute for the answering of the question is 2 minutes. And I was just laughing. So I think virtual learning in terms of university for now, using a lot of schools as case studies, I'm not seeing it as a very effective one at all for now. But this issue of students being apprehended by whether vigilante or police, that one is quite somehow deep. Although there are some students in school, I was expecting if you can't read in your out and you want to come outside, they should have just go to the school. The school is just nearby, and I know a lot of them live around. So I don't know why they should be a victim, and they have their ID card, and there should be something attached to it, not just appended for reading outside of their environment or outside in the middle of the night. I don't just know why. I think we need more details on this.
Is the school security forces, from what I can see. That is the Unilag school security. Is that not madness? I don't understand. Madness.
It's that your laughter. Your laughter.
You know that KK is a university Pekin. So anything
Yes,
that has to do with university always amused at her response, because her response are deep. You know, she's university Pekin. Her father was so that's I'm like, yes, so you see, Chinese agree with me. KK is very passionate. The things that it's just the way Rhoda is very passionate about everything, inclusion and all that, and they're trying to do everything for everybody. KK, when it comes to that's how I'm laughing.
Well, yeah, your laughter has there's a taunting effect. All right, so it is what it is. I think we need to query some things. People who are employed by university should understand the mission and the tenets of the university. So if it's within the university and the university had not come up with a contrary law, I don't think that was a right move. And sometimes there are some security people that are too overzealous. They tend to take things beyond context. Titi has already mentioned about the Unilag thing, so we'll move on quickly to and also the US. Is it US? Ososa, that's the Unity School.
Usosa.
Okay,
but
sorry.
You don't go Unity School.
No, I didn't go to Unity School. All right. So I think that's about all we can take on the news today. So we're going to talk about our conversation on the topic. Today we're talking about the face of faith. The face of faith. I believe
Ha.
The network.
Rotimi, I'm telling you. Uh-oh.
I think in the city, I
Yeah,
think you need to
I
just
need
do
to.
something about it. You need to
Okay.
take over.
I need to
You
take
need to
over.
take over. Yes, so
You know what? Let's because we've been discussing this on and off through a number of news headlines. So it will be interesting. Let's start with Grace.
from the beginning of the year
Ah,
we've been
Rotimi. Okay.
that means freezing in and freezing out.
Grace, can we start and hear your thoughts in terms of the role that faith plays in education, both for private sector and public sector? Grace, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but I really wanted to get an introduction on the concept of the whole faith thing. I honestly don't know whether it's so maybe you just throw more light on it first before I make my comments. And then before you stepped in, Mrs. Adewusi, we were just thanking Niger Kids so much. We got our package today all the way in Kaduna. I was so excited. Like, I can't even wait for the kids to get their
Oh,
hands on the material. So yeah, we were thanking you before you came in. So thank you so much. They are so
Up
wow.
well
Niger Kids.
together. Yes, of Niger Kids.
so hello.
Thank you for that. Ah, Rotimi, Rotimi is
Mr.
back.
Rowe.
Miss
morning,
Adewusi, I think you
everyone.
should just go on. Good morning,
Okay.
Gogochi.
Good morning, Ugochi.
Okay.
Good morning, Ugochi. Okay. So I think what just I'll take this from the hip, just based on what has been happening, not just in Nigeria, really all over the world, in terms of people's individual religious beliefs and how much of that should be accommodated in the public school system. So when you look at what was happening in Kwara concerning the children wearing hijab, or even when you look at what happens in France and in so many other countries, when we look at the public school system, we are saying what should be allowed in terms of people's faith. And it's not just faith of the Muslims, it's also that of the Christians, especially as it relates to public education. I want us to start with public education before we move to private school. So in a public school, what are the things that should be allowed or not allowed as regards to people's individual faith?
Okay. Thank you for that. I think that so number one, our faith is part of us, and I think that the education process should help to encourage that. But above every other thing, for me, I would say that what should thrive more should be love, because I don't think there's any faith that promotes or that should promote anything other than love. So I feel like if we have love as the central theme of whatever faith it is, and whatever religious or non-religious inclination, we're first human beings before we're either Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, or even atheists. So I think that that should be the overriding value that should be promoted in schools, public or private. If when that happens, then we can, within those confines of love, now encourage people to pursue, their oneness with God and things like that, without it negatively affecting their neighbor. One of the good books talks about loving your neighbor the way that you love yourself. So I feel that if love is a value that is promoted within our institutions, it would just go a long way in helping us curb all those excesses, and help these children grow up as more wholesome people. Before I started my work with Teach for Nigeria in the North, I didn't even know that I had a lot of hurt and grievances, against the Muslim faith. And this is me just speaking out about how these things sometimes can be very, very subtle. So I grew up in Kaduna all my life, and I had been, from one crisis to another. I was there during the Sharia crisis to the one in 2001, and we had lost family members, we had lost friends. And, somehow there was this conditioning that the people of the other faith were the ones that had caused these problems for us. So I didn't even know that I had that hate in my heart, towards them. But then in preparing for my work with Teach for Nigeria, I had to unbundle all the things that I was carrying. I had to have fresh eyes in approaching the children I was going to be working with, because for God's sakes, these are innocent children that do not even know anything about what our forefathers have done in terms of, all the hate that we've just been peddling. So the summary of everything I'm saying is love has to be the value that we promote. Going back to the communities that I've worked in, I feel like a superhero any day that I step into those places. And these are people that we're not of the same faith, but we understand love. And it's on that basis that we're able to work together and make a difference for them. Over to you, Titi. Thank you.
Mr. Rotimi is back, and I hope he's not frozen. Rotimi.
He's frozen.
Hey, can you imagine? Okay, Safety Chick would like to hear from you, because Safety Chick, I say chief. Safety Chick is like a local global traveler here in Nigeria. So what are your take when it comes to, in the practical sense? You're laughing. When I ask what state, I'm sure you've been there. So what are your what's your take in terms of the role of faith in the education system? How should it be implemented in practical terms? What should be allowed? What shouldn't be allowed? What should we, put our foot on and say no? This is no for us.
Thank you so much for that question. And local global traveler is so funny. Anyway, okay, so the thing is, this is school, right? Because it is school, we need to ensure that education takes preeminence over faith in a public school, because it is public, which means it is open to all children, not some children of some faith. Now, when we see that it is open, that a public school, ideally, the tenet of all public schools is that it is access to education for all, regardless of socioeconomic status, then we know that education has to take the front burner in that school. So now, if education is taking the front burner in the school, then it means that even if, for example, your faith says that you have to go and pray 4 times, when you are in the school system, you would not be able to do 4 times. Maybe you'll be able to do like 1 or 2 as it suits into the education calendar. I'm just using this as an example. This also means that if, for example, the Christians too want to do something and it's going to affect the educational calendar, it should not be allowed except proper arrangement has been made for both sides. Because since we know that we are a country that operates more than one major religion, in a public school system, we must make allowance for both things to happen, or none of it would happen. When you go for public events maybe being led by a state or the federal government, a public event where you know that you have the 2 religions there, what normally happens is when they want to do opening prayer, they will say a Muslim and a Christian should come, if for balance, or they will say a Muslim will do the opening prayer and a Christian will do the closing prayer for balance, until very recently when more people had adopted the use of the second stanza of the national anthem, which is a prayer. And so that takes care of both sides. So because we are aware that we have 2 major religions religions in this world. We must ensure that whatever we're doing in a public space must cater to two. And if it cannot cater to two, then it shouldn't even happen at all. So that's my take on it.
Okay. You know that that's thank you very much. Fee, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so just taking up from what Safety Chick has said in terms of practically, what are the things that we should allow and not allow when teaching children in primary school? So I'll start with primary school. What would you say? What should we allow and not allow? Especially when you're teaching them about religion. So in primary school, should we be teaching them all the religions so that they form religious tolerance, or what practically can we do? I think that's really my question to you.
Okay, so I would actually start with the unfortunateness of this entire situation. Not too long ago on my high school WhatsApp group, something like this came up, and for the first time in like 20 years, we were hearing people express how they felt, especially the Muslim students that were amongst us, how they felt like they were left out, how they felt like things were done around around the Christian faith predominantly, and that they were left out. Things were done on the assembly that didn't include them. And, people were going back and forth on, oh, but you guys had this, but you guys had that. There was this teacher in charge and that. But I considered what they were expressing and felt, well, yeah, that wasn't very fair. Even though we were not divided along religious lines. No, I had friends from high school who till today we are still very, very good friends. And we have different religious inclinations. From the primary school system, I believe that we should have children exposed to, let them know what the religions are. And this starts from, well, the home should handle their own specific religious inclination. So if I'm a Christian, then at home, my kids know what we believe in, what our faith is, what our creed is. My kids know what that is. But when they get to school, they should be able to learn what's tolerance for somebody who does not share your religious opinion or any other opinion for that matter is. Now, for religion, it's a little more important because we have seen wars break out because of religion. And if we're going to be dividing innocent children who are just developing and forming their opinion about the world, and already we are putting that coloration of religion into it. We're putting in some people are good, some people are bad, some people are this. Let them understand that, look, yes, in our religion or in our belief, this is what is right to us. And it's essential we stress that for us, this is what it is. Because some other people believe something differently, it doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make them less of human beings to others. It doesn't make you superior to them. We should be able to live and let live. So from the primary school, I would say that it's essential we expose. What we should allow is tolerance. What we should allow is exchange of knowledge. Can these kids, I remember there was a school I was going to teach at a point, and I was to teach English language and religions of the world. And that was very interesting to me because for me, it meant getting out of my own comfort zone also, and considering other religions of the world, considering the other components of the other religions. So I would say what we should allow or what we should permit is tolerance of the beliefs and the faith of other people. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, Fia. We heard you. Wonderful contribution. Chie, Princess of Four, is saying, I agree with Grace, love to be the cop. We have Rhoda in the house who sneaked in somehow, but did not go unnoticed. Rhoda, we're talking about the face of faith. When I call you, I just said that you are the inclusion advocate. No. So I would like to hear, we'd like to hear your own opinion in terms of when it comes to faith, actually in primary and secondary education, what should we allow? What should be the practical things that we should be doing? What should be our stance, as a nation? Over to you.
Thanks, Titi. I know that before I go there, I know that you mentioned in the news today we had EcoExcel, so I must have missed out on that review. I want to quickly mention that EcoExcel is systems transformation of public education in Lagos State, and I am working with the organization that is partnering with that with Lagos State on that. I'm excited about that news from the governor. Tells us that we're doing something good. So the topic, this one is really a topic after my heart because I look at it from various points of view. What should we be doing as a nation? First of all, is to look at the Constitution. Is it constitutional for us to teach religion or faith, as the case may be, in our schools? I think the general answer to that is yes. And so if we come from a constitutional point of view, and then yes, we should teach faith. So it's there. Another question that we would likely need to answer is, are schools religion-free zones? Are public schools religion-free zones? No, they aren't. And that's because, have people who have various religions, faith backgrounds in our schools. So they aren't essentially religious free zones or faith free zones. I recall the argument of whether one time one argument was creationism versus evolution. And creationism is the aspect of teaching children that humans were created by God, and then evolution, is the other. And I recall my son at this time when that conversation was going on. He was in his likely second or third grade when he said, he said to me, Mom, I mean, I don't think there's any real argument here. Everybody believes something, but the point is that whatever evolution says, something created it. So there is a right balance. That was my son. He must have been like 8 years at the time he said this. Kids get the sense of these things. I think it's adults, with our very stereotyped minds over the years that are causing some of these issues that we have. And we're the ones that are policymakers, are policy writers. And for children, these things don't really count. Children, we just let them know all this. So from a point of view, from a national policy point of view, I think that, and this is my own personal opinion, I think that there are things that constantly that you find that's consistent across faiths, and I think some of us have already mentioned this. It's all faiths ask you to love. All faiths ask you to be tolerant. All faiths ask you to be long-suffering. All faiths ask you to be charitable. All faiths ask you to be giving. All faiths ask you to have some form of sacrifice. The unique things that characterize all faiths, and that's what we should be doing. That's what we should be preaching. That's what we should amplify in our schools. And we should be. I find that even the issue about the hijab, not schools, I find it really ridiculous. I've taught kids with hijabs, and all you need to do is to institutionalize, to decide what is the hijab uniform here, and that's all. And that's all that counts. It doesn't mean anything, doesn't change anything. As long as you preach those things that characterizes, or we teach those things that characterize faiths across the schools. And we all have those things in common. We all have those things in common regardless. That will be good to people, that will be kind, that will be of good character, that will be of good, which is why I think concepts like character development, moral development, and even morality in itself has a bit of, some things there because there's balance there. But character development, for me, is the key thing. And then we should allow people to express themselves, their forms of religion. It should be allowed across. Then there should be, of course, a balance and a policy that makes sure that, we don't draw the line. So, for example, if a child is going to wear hijab to school, what is the hijab? How long should it be? What is the design? What is the uniform that is hijab? You can't just come, looking in differently in different ways. But there are things that there are unifiers across faith, and I think that's where we should be. That's what we should gather together. Look, I have sat with Islamic scholars, and believe me, you need to hear them. The Sanusis of this world, he's an Islamic scholar. And then there's so many of them that they're saying things that we can do as a nation to institute those unifying or unifiers across faiths. And that's, for me, where I think we should go. Then we should hold on to character development, and then kindness and tolerance and love.
Honestly, I like the common theme that we are all saying. One is, let's focus on the things that are important, which is tolerance, which is love. We are a religion of diverse, so we need to accommodate everyone in their beliefs, especially once it's a public school system. There needs to be just that accommodation. And Rod, I like the point that you came from, saying that in the end, when you look at it, all the religions have some common themes, and we should start to work with that rather than the things that divide us. So that's fantastic. Eben.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, I know you can tell us one or two interesting stories. What's your take on our topic?
When I saw the topic, face of faith, I was first thinking it's another thing until you interpreted it in the right way that we can now understand. And using the Kwara State as case study, I observed that parental factor and governmental factor is one of the reasons we are still seeing a lot of argument about faith and education together. Using governmental factor as an example is that we don't really know whether the government has really taken back the schools from the missionaries, and then the missionaries are claiming that they have actually taken back the school from the government. And at the end of the day, the government decided to bring in a policy because the people who actually dominated the state are from the second religion. So at the end of the day, they said, yes, we have to make sure that they are all going to be wearing a hijab. Just a statement. And the next day, the parental factor came in. Boom. The parents went to the school, and it was not the students that were fighting. That was what I saw. The students were not there with cutlass to be fighting each other. It was parents to parents that were fighting. Adults that already, I used to put it this way, that already carry religion on their head. They've carried it on their head in such a way that they don't remember that this is my brother, this is my sister, this is a human being. And the funniest thing is that I observed that when me, that is from the other religion, the other guy that is from the other religion, if we find ourselves in Russia, we are going to be a friend. If we find ourselves in the United States, we are going to talk to a friend immediately. We won't even remember that this guy is from the other religion, this guy is from the other religion. It is when we are here in our father's land that we used to think about this thing. So I think parents from home, we need to work on ourselves. What do we really say at the front of these children that will make them to continue this thing? Because I live in a ghetto, and then I still see some of these things. By the time they talk about it, I will just look at them from afar, and I will like, wow, this is what we are planning, another crisis in future. Even by the time they put up their public address, even Christians too, there are some things that we don't really need to talk about at all. We just leave it and let God take control of those things, And governmental factor, it is also politics in another way. We want to Islamize this place, we want to do this, and then we don't really remember something. That is what I do remember every day. And it's a word from Fela Anikulapo Kuti. One day, of course, we must die. When you die, what will you remember about you? Is it war? It should not be war. Peace should be our goal. Peace should be our goal. We are all human. Immediately you give birth to maybe when you go to hospital, a Muslim give birth to a boy, a Christian give birth to a boy, put two of them together and think whether they will fight. They can never fight because of religion. The first year they will never fight. The second year they will never fight. Even till 5, they will never fight until governmental factor, parental factor begin to come in. Don't talk to that woman, don't talk to that boy. It's from the second religion. You believe in this, you do this, you do that. So we need to do maybe like a national conference. And I don't know how the solution is just going to come, but I don't really see the solution for now. Even when we peace, when we preach peace, when we preach love, some of those words that we call love to them is another thing entirely. So maybe the school can serve as a form of a reforming center, reorientation center that can actually change the perception of these children. We should start from early years. Don't let us wait till secondary school. If you read Lawrence Colbert's theory very well, which I actually talked about last week, when you use the word "well," let's wait till secondary school before we talk about this, it will already stay in the mind of the child that in such a way that before you can remove that orientation, it's going to take a while. So let's start from the early years. Talk about religion, talk about faith, talk about moral, talk about love, talk about unity, and let it to be universally done. The way it is done in Kano should be the way to be done in Lagos. The way it is done in Oyo should be the way it is done in Kebbi. So at the end of the day, we can use this to create a world that we can all live in peace. Not that a world that I can't drive from here to Abuja. I'll be praying this month down before I will drive from here to Abuja in May. So as much as possible, I think there is just those two factors. It's just those two factors.
You know, Titi, I don't know, I just really need to clap loudly for Eben, for just putting it in perspective, and the two really significant angles being that of the parents groups and that of the government institution. I am so, Eben, you just laid it flat on the ground. When they a couple of years, when they reviewed the curriculum and they said they wanted us to have something called RNV, which is religious and national values. The concept itself was that we were going to look at religion, look at national values, bring them together, and then teach. But guess what? That didn't happen, of course, because governmental institutions, parent forums will kick against it, because in the north, we only do IRS. In the east, we only do CRS. And further divided the themed subject into 3, and then it made it difficult for people to come together and say, what is going to be the curriculum that's going to teach and unify these two very prominent religions in the country? And that's where the challenge is. So thank you, Eben, for putting in perspective. We are not ready. When we are ready, we will do the right things. The way Nigeria is going, I'm not going to be a prophet of doom. It's not looking good.
No prophets of doom here. Thank you very much, Rhoda. But thank you very much, Eben. I think you really hit the nail on the head. Unfortunately, I'm amazed we run out of time. So we just take everyone's parting shot. And your parting shot, just taking a cue from what Eben said, is a parting shot, one to parents, and then one to the education sector. So we'll start from Grace. Grace, Fee, Safety Chick, Eben, and we end with Rhoda. So Grace, over to you, your parting shot to parents and then to the educators or the education ministry at large.
Yeah, so I would say that to parents and teachers and just everyone involved in education, I think the first step is what we're doing here today, which is having conversations about it. When kids ask certain questions and we tell them either in our silence or in spoken words that it's not okay to talk about differences and uncomfortable topics, that's where we start to create questions for them. So I would say having conversations is a good way to go, where we're able to help them understand that being different is a virtue. And being different can come in different forms. I think if we approach it that way, to say, oh, this person has a different hair color than me, they have, different personal likes and dislikes, we're all human beings, but then there are these differences that should bind us together. So I would say, teachers within the classrooms, as little as when you're putting together stories for your literacy class, you mix up the names. So the kids start to get comfortable knowing that, an Aisha and an Olua Fumi can be friends. Little things as people with different interests and different interests can work together, basically. Take them out, to have diverse experiences with people of different beliefs. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons summer camps, for example, are important, because it brings people from diverse places together. So I would just say everybody has a role to play, from the homes, the schools, and every type of institution. And I hope that we truly play our roles. That would be my parting shot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fee.
Okay, so I'm going to be making an appeal to parents, especially. Many times we have these issues, and to balance it, we have teachers. Some of the teachers are the parents who at home are loading the children with all these competitive ideas when it comes to religion. So I would say that, yes, some of us grew up with some very fundamental opinion about religion, with some of us grew up conservative. Because the experiences I had growing up is not the worldview. The experiences I had growing up is not what it is meant to be. It's not cut in stone. So parents need to relearn things that they have learned. Some parents probably even need to go into researching about other religions, understanding that tolerance doesn't take anything away from anybody. It only gives us a more stable world. So my appeal will be to parents and then to teachers, that in our classrooms, we don't segregate these children also. It's so unfortunate that in some classrooms, the teachers actually cause the segregation. So we don't segregate them and say, because I've had a teacher talk to a Muslim student before during the fast, that look at you, you always come to class and you're sleeping because you had to wake up early things like that should be eliminated. We should celebrate these differences, and let us see that our differences are the things that make us unique. Our differences should be our rallying factor, should be the beauty around us.
Wow, thank you. That was deep. Sexy chick. Are you
okay? Thank you so much, Finn. That was so good. And I will just layer on what you said about tolerance. And really, if we're all the same, there would be no life would be boring, right? Having those differences is part of the things that makes life interesting. And so we should tolerate one another. And as we tolerating does not mean enforcing your own over another, because I think that is where the problem comes, when one part wants to enforce theirs over the other. And so we have to encourage that tolerance, that openness, that friendship. Parents should do this for their children from an early age, because if you are not raising radical children, they won't grow to become radical youths who are going to become radical adults. And so we have to preach that message of tolerance. And then, of course, to schools, I'll just say to schools, most especially in the public domain, when it's a private school, your rules can apply because it's yours. You are the one funding everything, right? But when it's a public school, you must understand that it's going to be open to a diverse set of people. And when diversity comes in, your role is to ensure that everybody tolerates one another. Everybody can live in peace and unity and accept and appreciate. That you are tolerant of someone does not mean you accept what they are doing. It just means that you are willing to respect them. That mutual respect is there, and you are able to look beyond the differences to see the areas of commonness, instead of as opposed to fixating on the things that differentiate you all. So that's what I would say for both parents and also for the schools.
Yeah, and
thank you so much. Okay, Eben.
From
Go ahead,
Eben,
Eben.
I would like to have to encourage every parent out there that the moment you step out of planet Earth, how secure is your child? What will have happened? So all what we are teaching right now should be what will guide your child forever and ever. So teach love. I was telling a colleague who is actually saying that we send all the aboki out of our environment. I said, okay, imagine somebody like me now who likes to travel outside of Lagos to go and work. How secure will I be to find myself in Maduguri next month again to decorative school? That means I won't be able to talk in public. I will need to learn to speak Hausa so that I'll be able to pretend that I'm not a Yoruba man. So as much as possible, as I used to tell at the end of my lecture, I use this word that our difference is what makes us strong. We don't hear about some countries because they only have there is no difference. This difference is what makes a lot of countries talk about us every day. And also to schools out there. Every school, we should take religion out of our school. A school should be a learning center where skills, knowledge, and values are taught. And those skills, knowledge, and values should be out of religion. There should be faith, but there should be faith in love, understanding each other's faith and understanding that, yeah, I like your religion and I also appreciate your religion. But that does not mean that you should not be fighting on that. Oh, Jesus Christ is this. Oh, Allah is this and that. So we should learn to bring out a way that we can preach this to these children. And the last one is that even religious center should also help us too. You know, religious center can also help us to modify their preaching to love instead of preaching against other religion. This is also another thing that is actually happening. Even I could not believe it that even the Christianity are also practicing this. Christianity are practicing this by using the word, this religion is not good, you have to embrace this by force and more. Let's try as much as possible. We should know that we are all human before we understand religion. And at the end of the day, we are going to live in a world that is peaceful, and we are going to live in a world that we can even walk at night, and then everything is going to be all right. Thank you.
I forget what I think her name is, and I forget her name, but she says there's no black or white race or any other race, Hispanic, or there's the human race. And you will often say to, I mean, for me, I would always speak from a policy constitution point of view, because it trickles down. It trickles down to what we do as parents, it trickles down to what we do as schools, because it guides our principles and our practices. We are easily to, so it's a conversation that some part of the people were having concerning young children being allowed to change their genders. And then, and I thought to myself, we say to children, you cannot smoke until you're 18. You cannot go to the club until you're 18. You cannot do XYZ until you're an adult. But when it comes to changing genders, they have a choice. It's ridiculous. So same thing. We cannot, with the NBC, when there's this guy who sang a song, it says, Thunder Fire You. NBC was so quick to ban the song on air. I guess what we need to ban is hate and intolerance. And that's what we need to have our government institutions really think about, how to unify this country. And religion has become one of the tools in the hands of those who don't want to see this country moving forward against the world. And so my call is to the government, and the reforms that we have is to policy, is to constitution that drives what everybody else does. And it's for it to be clear, it's for it to be precise, that here is our national values. Here are our national values. And here is what we want to see happen in the schools across board, both public and private. Now, the argument around the private sector, for me, I mean, if you really want to have a really robust school, it's time to be inclusive. It's time to be one that includes all faith-based backgrounds into your curriculum. And for me, what you need to do there is to just look at what the unifier is and preach that. That's what counts.
And And the show would not be complete without Rotimi
We
speaking
did
in
Dr. Ru.
at the end. Hey, Rotimi.
And now everything is now clear.
Mr. Ro, your
Oh
new
my
name is Dr. Freeze.
Dr.
David,
Freeze Eyitayo.
I'm
your
telling
career,
you.
you are playing with your career. You are saying I'm Dr. Fizz.
Yeah, but you know what? Rotimi, before I hand over to you, I would just say that for me, the core message is love, banned hate. I think that's what it is. Hate, any hate speech, hate anything should be a crime. That's really the core message of all that we've said today. Love everybody, no matter how different and different religions. And we know what love means. We should ban hate. Anything that encourage any speech. Honestly, when I'm in groups and someone wants to just start all these things that forward all these messages that promote those our differences and encourage hate. We speak out. We say no, ban this, delete this. No, this is wrong. This is only promoting hate. So Rotimi, over to you.
Well, I'm excited that we've had a great conversation. I'd just like to say that we need to understand the ingredient of faith, right? And there are three things that characterize faith. The fact is that number one, faith works. And so when we look at religion or we look at the face of faith when it comes to building education, we need to understand that faith works. And so whatever type of faith, whatever creed or philosophy behind your faith, it must work. When it doesn't work, it's not faith, regardless of the
Is Dr. Freeze frozen?
Is the name that people gave him that has caused his internet
Oh, wow.
act in faith and take out the name that we're giving him. But it's been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I just hope
It
that
has.
so people have listened and realized their own mistakes and things they need to do better in terms of not promoting hate. So I don't know whether to give 1 minute
It's been
for
a good
Rotimi.
morning on the
But
Good
I
Morning
can
Education Show.
honestly, we need to say that time to end. We are way past our time. It's been a great morning,
For
on the Good
sure.
Morning Education Show. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Rhoda. Eben, so wonderful to have you. Safety Chick, thank you for keeping us safe during this 1 hour. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. You too. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone. Bye, everyone. Bye.
being connected.